So the second reason people wouldn't apologize to us is embarrassment. You would be surprised how people can be so embarrassed about their actions, about their words, about their behavior, and everything they've done to you. And apologizing would feel even more embarrassing to them than not. Staying silent and ignoring you, we need to take to consideration that they actually feel very embarrassed about their actions, and coming out there and talking to you, and even let alone apologizing, would feel even more embarrassing to them about what they've done. So it's easier for them to stay silent and wait until you come back and apologize to them, or you start to reconcile with them, so it doesn't look like they're a complete mess, they're fools, and they're a bad guy. Staying silent and ignoring you for extended period of time could also mean they're trying to cover up their shame, guilt, regret, and embarrassment they're going through. And it also could be a very huge case for people who actually were acting very erratic, who are acting like a mess. And that would feel even more shameful and embarrassing to go back and look into that person's eyes to admit everything they've done wrong, and go back to the same conversation and start it over again, because everybody understands in order to make up and reconcile, you have to go back to that conversation you guys had, you have to go back to that argument, you have to go back to that misunderstanding, and sort it out and figure it out. Without it, there is no reconciliation happening, because everybody would feel still angry or mad, or feel like situation is not resolved in the proper ways. And people very well understand that facing you and looking into your eyes and trying to go back to the same conversation and argument you ended up with, meaning some things can come up, and things that they are really trying right now very hard to cover up and pretend that they were right. So they don't want those issues and those tricky things to come up to the surface, to come up to light. Maybe people were really wrong about doing something, and fighting with you and arguing with you, breaking up with you, is their way to cover their shit up and cover up a lot of their errors, mistakes, a lot of their insecurities, maybe jealousy, and a lot of other stuff they don't want to come to surface. So people a lot of times would be very afraid and scared to look in those people's eyes and have those the most sensitive, the most insecure things about themselves to come to the light and surface. And again, that would mean they would have to argue back and protect their insecurities, protect their mistakes. And it will be even tougher to do so, because they apologize and they have to admit they are wrong in the first place. So in the situation where you do feel like a person was embarrassing himself, a lot of things came up to the surface they didn't want to come up, you should think that most likely the apology not gonna come your way, because that's gonna be a break deal, that's gonna be a distraction for another person who actually maybe lives a lie, maybe lives in a cover-up, maybe has a mask he's holding and don't wanna put it down in front of you and in front of everybody. And some people don't want to take their masks down. They don't want to be honest, authentic. They don't want to show their true self. They don't want to show their true faith. And that's why they're running away and sit in the hideaway. And it's easier for them this way, because their true self will never come out. And who knows what the true self is eventually. And for those kind of people, it is easier to run away and sit in the hideaway instead of feeling embarrassed, ashamed, and feeling guilty for what they done, because they're not trying to change anything. They don't want to change anything. They don't apologize because they don't want to change anything. They want to bring anything new to the table. They don't want to be different. They don't want to grow. They don't want to show their authentic self. In this case, don't wait for an apology from this other person. Most likely, you're not gonna get one. If you feel like that's what the feeling he is going through, that's what the person is going through, and that's what he is like, most likely, you're never gonna hear from him again.